Welcome to part 3 of the AWS ecosystem deep dive series. For those just joining us, we are on a journey to understand the entire AWS ecosystem through a story. We are building cloud infrastructure from day one, just like you would in a real job. Here's where we are. In part 1, we set up identity and security. In part 2, we built the network foundation. Now, in part 3, we are getting to the exciting stuff: compute and containers. This is where your applications actually run. We are covering EC2, Lambda, Elastic Beanstalk, ECS, EKS, and more. If you have ever wondered when to use servers versus serverless versus containers, this is the part for you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you missed part 1 and 2, links are in the description. Let's get into it. Okay, our story continues. Network is set up. Now your development team comes to you and says, we need to deploy our applications. And the first question you should ask is, what kind of application it is? Because depending on the answer, you will choose different compute services. Traditional application that runs all the time, serverless function that runs in short bursts, containerized microservices. Each one has a different best fit. Let's look at the compute category. And we are going into the menu over here. And we have compute resources at this location. And you can see all the compute related services offered by AWS right here. First, and this is the foundation of AWS compute, is EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. These are virtual servers in the cloud. EC2 is the most widely used compute service. And what can you do with it? You can launch virtual servers. They call them instances. You can choose exactly how much CPU, memory, and storage you need. You can install any operating system, any software, and you can scale up or down as your needs change. This is where we use EC2. Traditional applications that need to run continuously, when you need full control over the environment, long-running workloads, or when you have specific software requirements that need a full server. Now let's jump into the dashboard. This is what the dashboard looks like for EC2. And on the left, you have all the possible things that you can do with EC2 instances when you create them. Now, EC2 has different instance types for different workloads. Let's look at that real quickly. I'm clicking on instances, and then I'm trying to launch an instance. And as you can see, when you scroll down, this is where you choose a specific type of instance based on the requirements that you have. And when we click on the drop down, you have different types of instances over here, which have been grouped into different categories. General purpose, like the T family and M families, those give you a balanced mix of compute and memory. Good for most applications. Compute optimized, like C type, have high CPU. Great for compute intense tasks. Memory optimized, like R type, lots of RAM. Perfect for databases and caching. Storage optimized, like I type, high disk input output for data warehouses. And GPU instances like P type and G type for machine learning and graphics processing. So you pick the instance type based on what your application needs are. Now, let's jump back into the main dashboard of EC2 instances. So you have a lot of options that you can choose from here. As we just discussed, you can create instances and you can create images for those instances. If you want a custom image, which is pre-configured, this is where you can have those images stored. And for applications where they need extreme fast interaction with the data and the data needs to reside close to the instance, then you use volumes for that. And you can take snapshots of those volumes. And then you can secure these instances that you're creating by creating security groups, as we discussed in the VPC part 2. For secure access into these instances that you're creating through SSH, key pairs is what you use. And to group a bunch of instances together, you use placement groups. To create a static IP address, you use elastic IP. That means this IP remains there no matter what, and you can use this IP to attach to a new instance for a specific application. And when you're talking about scaling the applications, you need some sort of load balancing so that incoming traffic is automatically balanced between multiple instances running a single application. So this is where you do it in the load balancer section by creating target groups and attaching them to the load balancer. And this load balancer will be connected to the respective hosted zone of this application in Route 53, which we went through in part 2 of networking. And to handle automatic scaling up and scaling down based on the incoming traffic or incoming load, auto-scaling groups is where you configure that for the instances that you're creating to support your applications. Now, if EC2 is traditional servers, Lambda is the opposite. And we can find Lambda in the same section in the compute category right over here. Lambda is serverless compute. And this is the second most used compute service after EC2. Here's how Lambda works. You upload a code, you define what triggers it, maybe an API call, a file upload to S3, a message in a queue, and that's it. AWS handles literally everything else: the servers, the scaling, the patching, the operating system. You don't manage any of it. And here's the magic part: you only pay when your code runs. If nobody is calling your function, you're paying zero. Compare that to EC2, where you're paying 24/7 whether the server is busy or idle. Let's get into Lambda dashboard. Within this dashboard, if you go to the left top on these three lines, if you click, you will see all the options that we have in the Lambda space. Now, when do you use Lambda? It's primarily used for event-driven workloads. Something happens, your code runs. API backends, especially when traffic is unpredictable. Data processing, a file gets uploaded, Lambda processes it. Scheduled tasks, run something every hour, every day. Basically, anything that runs for short bursts and doesn't need to run constantly. Let me give you a quick comparison. With EC2, you manage the servers. With Lambda, you don't. EC2 billing is based on the instance running, always on. Lambda billing is per execution. You only pay for what you use. EC2 can run forever. Lambda has a 15-minute maximum runtime. EC2 scaling, you have to configure. Lambda scales automatically. So they're very different, and you choose based on your use case. And creating Lambda functions is pretty straightforward. You just go into the functions section over here, and then you can start creating functions. And as you can see, you have a lot of options based on your use case. You can use different languages in which you want to write your code in order to perform an activity. Not just that, if you go into additional configurations, you have the option of creating Lambda functions inside a VPC. And when do you create a Lambda function in a VPC? Whenever you have a database which is inside a VPC and your Lambda needs to communicate with the database, performing data operations. In those cases, the Lambda should also be part of the same network as the database is. In those cases, you create the Lambda function within the VPC. Another use case when to create a Lambda function in a VPC. Let's say your Lambda function code needs to perform certain kind of operations with other AWS services, but it needs to be done in a very secure way without exposing the connection to the outside internet. In those cases, you may want to leverage VPC endpoints. If that is your requirement, that is when you have to create a Lambda function in a VPC to create that secure communication between your Lambda function and the other AWS services using AWS Backbone Network. Now, What if you want something in between? You want EC2 style servers, but you don't want to manage all the infrastructure yourself. Now, that is Elastic Beanstalk. It is right here in the same compute section, and you can find it right here. If you found this helpful, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Thank you for watching.